We're just over a week into the big changes that rolled out into the real estate world. Have you heard about this? Whether you're a buyer, seller, or real estate professional, these updates are shaking up the way we do things. And they're going to impact the way we navigate doing the buying and selling process. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about what happened before the big changes came into play. Up until August 17th, the process has been pretty straightforward. As a buyer, you could work informally with a buyer's agent. No paperwork required right away. You tour homes, discuss options, and when you found the one, your agent would help you make an offer. The seller's agent would often share their commission with the buyer's agent, and that was all handled behind the scenes. But starting last week, this whole process is changing. Now, before even stepping into a home, your buyer's agent will have to have a formal agreement signed with you. This agreement will clearly lay out how your agent is going to be compensated. The change is all about transparency, making sure you, as a buyer, know exactly how your agent is working for you and what their compensation will be. Now, let's talk about the decoupling of compensation. In the past, the listing broker and buyer broker would often cooperate by sharing the seller's listing commission. Imagine that the seller offered, let's say, $10,000 in total commission. The listing broker might keep $5,000 and then share $5,000 with the buyer's broker. While this system worked, it often kept the details of the compensation hidden from the buyer. Going forward, we're moving away from this broker-to-broker cooperation. Instead, all compensation will be handled directly by the buyer or the seller, or a mix of the two. So let's say that the seller still agrees to pay 3% to the listing broker. That is written in the listing agreement. As a buyer, you'll agree in writing to pay your buyer's broker, let's say 3%. Now you might be thinking, does this mean I'm paying more? Not necessarily. You can still request that the seller covers the commission at the closing, but it's something that will now be negotiated as part of your offer. This decoupling means that compensation is now more transparent and negotiable than ever. It also gives both the buyer and the seller more control over how commissions are handled. For example, instead of the compensation being kind of a hidden part of the deal, everything is out in the open and subject to negotiation, just like the price of the home or a closing date. Another crucial change is that offers of buyer's broker compensation will no longer be listed on the FMLS or MLS in Georgia. So if you're a buyer, your agent will need to contact the listing agent directly for each property to understand what the seller is willing to offer in terms of buyer representation compensation. This information will help your buyer's agent advise you on how to proceed and ensure everything is clear before your offer is made. To sum it up, there are now 3 core agreements that will govern any real estate transaction. The first one, the listing agreement between the seller and the listing broker. 2, the buyer representation agreement between the buyer and the buyer's broker. 3, the purchase agreement, which is the offer and agreement that shows the terms between the buyer and the seller for the purchase of the home. These agreements ensure that everybody knows what to expect, how compensation is handled, and that the process is fair and transparent. As a buyer, you're now going to have more clarity on your buyer agent's role and how they're compensated. As a seller, you'll have the ability to negotiate and direct all aspects of compensation. It's a big shift, but it's all about making the process more straightforward and fair for everyone involved. Now, I know this might seem like a lot to take in, and of course it's going to take time for all of us to get used to these changes. And you know what? If you see your real estate agent today, give them a hug. They really need it. I am proud to be with Real Broker, a company that's helping pave the way for these changes, making sure our clients and our agents are fully prepared and informed. If you're interested in this kind of leadership and how it can benefit you, give us a call. We'd be happy to share our story with you. Thank you for watching, and remember, I'm here to help you through every step of your real estate journey.